still get female athletes, I still get their parents being like, she takes a quick step back during acceleration. Shouldn't she roll forward and not have this like false step? And I'm like, let me tell you something here. So, why don't you explain why it's okay to have that quote unquote false step?
Yeah, gosh, thank you. If you knew in the early years when I started talking about this, even in the later 80s, Erica, the beating I took from
Oh,
football coaches and from soccer coaches and from and I'm trying to explain to them like I didn't invent this is not a skill I invented. I'm endorsing it. So I'm building my skill patterns around the fact that I know it's going to happen. So these young ladies you're talking about with parents are saying, don't step backwards, or maybe they've heard the phrase false step. And really all it is it falls under this family of patterning we call repositioning because we can reposition behind them, which I started to call a plyo step because it looked plyometric. That
yeah.
this was, back in again in the later 80s, early 90s, I started just giving names to it for me, not for other people. I'm like, okay, that looks like plyometric step. So that's what I named it. And then if I do the same thing, but I go backwards, I call that a hip turn. And it's still the same concept. It's a pattern or an action that you and I really don't have any control over. It's more of a protective fight or flight subconscious pattern that allows us to use, here's this phrase, these words again, to escape space and attack space quickly. And the cool thing with it, and when their parents see their young daughters do this, well, their daughters aren't even thinking about their feet. They're thinking about the task. They're in an environment, maybe a small volleyball court or a big soccer pitch or basketball court, and they're just trying to accomplish a task. And when the body repositions, it's actually giving us an advantage of what we just talked about, acceleration. It's giving us an angle back into the ground behind our center of mass to project us forward. We love the phrase power, but in this case, we really want elastic energy, which is quicker. So if I put my finger on my chest, and I do this with my athletes, and I snap my finger down, but then I take that finger and I do that. That's the difference between the plyo step and rolling forward. Which one do you want? And parents are like, oh, yeah, that makes more sense. I said, well, that's the elastic energy that we want. So when the body repositions, it actually usually takes a shorter leg. So think of a defensive stance, whatever sport it is, whatever. We're kind of bending our hips, our knees, and our ankles. We're a little bit lower. All of a sudden, one of the legs straightens out quickly behind us. That projects us forward quickly. That's why sprinters don't squat when they sprint. They stay tall because it's quicker. But when I come out of the blocks or I'm first starting accelerating, typically we see a shorter leg. Well, this athlete using the plyo step or a repositioning step is trying to get the best of both worlds. They're trying to create that angle down and back behind them, but use the benefit of this elasticity. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's what it is. Yeah.
I like that you renamed it from false step to plyo step. It just sounds
Yeah.
more advantageous. And yeah, you
Yeah.
brought up track athletes, and I actually trained for a track meet this past year with Team USA Track and Field for the old people division. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and when I was learning the blocks, I think that was probably the hardest thing to learn because
Yeah.
my back foot was so far back. And then I really had to learn to create that horizontal force. So, is that why track athletes start with that back leg back? Because in field sports, you have to put that back leg back to take that plyo step. So, is
Yeah.
there a relation there?
Sure. Yeah. Because what we're trying to do, so the back leg, even in a plyo step, it isn't the forceful leg. It's the leg that begins shifting my hips forward over the stronger leg. That's what initiates my takeoff. So when an athlete, let's say I'm standing and my right leg goes behind me really quick to go chase a 50-50 ball, and my left leg will kind of shorten in front of me and I'll get a little knee lift. Well, I'm trying to get that quick plyo step or that repositioning step to quickly get me over the front leg. as we're rolling, just takes too long to do that. So in the blocks, the back leg isn't the big, powerful, forceful leg, but it's the one that gets me over that front leg. And then I can pull through, like we talked about, with a lower trail leg to get through. But yeah, absolutely. That's why it's done. The cool thing with track, it's already done for me.
Yeah.
The block, because and the reason is, and this is where, Erica, you and I can help parents understand is a whether it's a 100-meter sprinter in the blocks or an 800-meter runner who would stand up in a staggered stance or a miler, they already know where they're going.
Yeah.
So they don't have to reposition because they can stagger. If in soccer, I knew every time the ball was going there, well, I'm just going to stand facing that way. Why stand straight if I know the ball's going there? But we don't know that. So that's why we stand athletic or bouncing our feet parallel stance, and all of a sudden we have to reposition. So yeah, that's actually a very cool example of blocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So just to summarize, so with acceleration, first and foremost, make the time to get strong, and then
Yes.
preferably find a performance coach who can teach acceleration or set up the right drills to get the right response with the
Yeah.
mechanics. And then third, embrace the plyo step, everyone. So
Yeah.
is that a good summary? Is there anything else you would add to acceleration?
It sure is. Yeah. And here's the thing. This is all things, not just acceleration. This is what I look at when I evaluate is is what we're seeing and maybe a low functioning pattern. Is it a strength power issue? Is it a skill acquisition issue? Or is it a mechanical issue? Is it bits and pieces of each? And this is why, if you have an athlete, let's say a 12-year-old young lady who's actually pretty strong, can squat pretty good, can single leg squat, real no problem, but they just don't look quite right. Okay, well, did they have enough time to acquire the skill that you're trying to teach them? Maybe it's that. Or is it a mechanical issue? So those are things we can address, but it could be the other way. They could be not strong enough. And if they gain strength, a lot of times the mechanical issue cleans itself up just because they're strong enough to hit the positions now. So yeah, exactly. That's what acceleration really is. It's any one of those three things. And the cool part about our job is if parents allow us and athletes and they give us time, we can address those. We can fix those. Those are all fixable things. I can't make you 6'2" if your mom and dad are 5'7", right? But I can make you faster if we get the chance to improve it.